All right. And welcome to week number 2 of the greatest baseball show here in Chicago, Plunked, where we celebrate one city and two teams, or two teams from one city. How you doing today, Kristen?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am always pressed for time, as usual. Other than that, I'm good. I'm here. I do have some food here that I'm going to rudely eat on air at some point. But before we get into that mess, how your Cubs doing? I was listening to them in the car. It was like 7-3 when I
Yeah,
last
it's
heard.
8-3, and there's 2 men in scoring position, and I don't believe anyone's out in the sixth inning. So they're
Okay,
pretty much going to lose.
a lot of baseball to be played in that game yet, but it's not looking good. I've
No,
been monitoring that game through its entirety, and it looked good for a minute. They jumped out to a 2-run
I
or
no, I
one
think
run.
what's his name gave up 6 runs in the first inning. Kyle
Oh,
Hendricks gave up 6 in the first, and then the Cubs scored
right.
2.
And then the score, they came back with 2. Okay,
2.
so they didn't jump out. They didn't jump out. They're in Wrigley. So I was listening on the.
Oh yeah, they've been trying to catch
So I
up.
didn't know. Okay.
They've been trying to catch up since the first inning, and it's not going well because then Alec Mills came in and he's given up 2 so far, and he has 2 more in scoring position. So
All right. All right. So it's looking
bleak.
dismal. It's looking bleak. So I have a little something to pull up here. If I could. This is what we're looking at the last 7 days. So I don't think they had finished their game, or maybe like during our last broadcast, or maybe they had, but 6 tries, they are 2-4. With losses to Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, also wins. Let's
2 little lonely
move that.
wins.
2 little lonely wins. Yeah.
My father
Yeah.
said
So
because they scored those 13 runs yesterday, it was going to be.
right. It's like it just took everything out of them, apparently.
The wind is blowing out, so. But the problem is the Cubs can't stop them from scoring. It'd be different if it seemed like someone was going to shut somebody down.
And that's the problem. And that herein lies the problem. But like you said, you knew there was going to be pitching problems going in.
Yeah.
So what did you see this past week? Is there?
Let's see. Rizzo's come to life. He's at like 260 now.
Mm-hmm.
Bryant's their best hitter. Wilson Contreras is hot, very hot. And Baez has done well. So those core players have come to life. Problem has still been situational hitting with runners in scoring position. It's just that's been a never-ending story for years with this core.
Right.
But you knew yesterday was kind of you knew it wasn't going to continue, but you hope that it would kind of carry on, and it has a little. Like they have scored 3 today, and they've been hitting the ball hard, but now their pitching's letting them down. Before it's been the offense letting down the pitching, and today it's been reversed. But I do like that. It seems like some of the hitting is coming around. I don't know if Jock Peterson, Jason Hayward, like some people are just. I know Jason Hayward got a hit or something. He did something, and I think Jock Peterson did something. But overall, it's not a consistent something from those 2.
Right. Right. And I don't think you'd expect anything consistent from Jay Hay.
No. Well, he's usually good for 60 games, and it's usually in the beginning 60.
Okay.
So he falls off at the end, after the All-Star break or something. So it's kind of strange that hasn't been hot yet. One like managerial move I didn't like is when Wilson Contreras, he hit that home run after being hit so many times by the Brewers, and Chris Bryant's clearly your best hitter. And they had a day off coming on Thursday, and David Ross sat Wilson and Chris Bryant on Wednesday. And he was, and with David Ross, like, yeah, I believe in momentum, and I believe momentum's the thing. And Wilson's going to bring that to us. But then you so you sit them when you have a day off?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not who you want to sit.
No. Like, okay, you don't want Wilson to play. I don't know. You're just not at that moment. Not as bad as your offense has been. And if you feel as though that could be the spark, and Chris Bryant has been your best hitter, even if that's not great, he's technically been your best, most consistent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sit him down when your offense is hot garbage.
Yeah, because you hope his hotness continues, and maybe others will kind of feed off of it. You know what I mean? Is kind of the hope. I was listening to the score the other day, and they were really, like I love Javi, but they were really kind of tearing into him about his, and you mentioned this, the situational hitting, like kind of just being more aware of what's going on around them. They were down there a lot of games, but there was one of the games, I think it might have been like a Pittsburgh game, or Milwaukee, I'm not sure. They were down 4 or 5 runs, and they got men on the corners, 1 out, and he takes a couple of breaking balls for balls, and then he takes a pitch that's right down the middle, and he just swings as hard as he can and misses. You know what I mean? He misses underneath, so you kind of feel like he's trying to launch it. The next pitch, right down the middle, misses underneath again. Another breaking ball, then a high fastball. He just watches it go by. And it kind of just feels like you only had 1 out. Just, I understand you don't want to hit into the double play, but just get enough wood on the ball to get it somewhere in the outfield, even if you pop it up or just get that man home. And he just swings like he's trying to, they're down by 5 runs and he's trying to hit a 5-run home run. Like he's swinging that hard, and you love him for his passion and how he plays, but then you wish he could just calm down in those moments,
He might have swung under it because he was trying to hit a fly ball, but unfortunately, that's just not anything you're ever going to get from Javi.
Yeah.
And you're just not. When he hits a single, that's an accident.
It's an accident.
Yeah, because he was swinging for the home run, and it just so happens
every time
that it was a line drive somewhere. And I don't know if that's something you'll be able to teach him, because he has become famous for his hitting like that. And that's his, being El Mago, being the magician in the field and hitting home runs. That's his thing.
That's his thing.
And that's what people loved about him before. But I think, and I know we have our baseball expert coming on, I think that the Cubs are one of the worst hitting fastballs in the zone teams in the league. I think. I could be very wrong on that stat, but I think I heard something about that during one of the telecasts.
Wow. But that would definitely lend its way into that at bat that I described.
That's what made me think of it when you were saying right down the middle. I was like, I think I heard something about that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's it's hard to have a guy try to reteach him or ask him to not be El Mago. It's a tough one.
You really wish that he would you don't always have to swing out of your shoes. Like sometimes just swing regular. It can be hard, but
Of
Just
course.
swing regular. But it's the whole team. Like, that's what Anthony Rizzo was known for, and he hasn't been doing that well. He strikes out a lot. And he's the one who chokes up on the bat to shorten his swing. But I don't know. I mean, it used to be Chili Davis's fault. Aren't we? They're on like their third, fourth hitting coach because there's always been a hitting coach. It's just the way these players are going to swing. Like they're stars. They got here doing it this way. It's going to be really hard to reteach them.
Right. And try to get them to play, small ball. You know what I mean? And just run out a ground ball real hard, and maybe you get on. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
When all we talk about is launch angles and exit velocity and all these things that require, and they just gave up a grand slam. So it is now 13-3. But
okay. So I'm gonna go back and change that Cub graphic too.
Yeah. And so but yeah, you want people to shorten up and all that, but you predict how well someone's going to hit based on their exit velocity. Everyone's talking about these launch angles, and that's why now there's something where they're talking about either moving the mound back, doing something because fans, rightfully so, they're tired of everyone striking out. They're tired of no one getting hits. It's on my earring. They're tired of everyone, like no one gets on base. Everyone's striking out.
Right.
And so they're trying to, just like they've done in the past. That's when they juice balls. People juiced all that because fans like offense. And if no one's hitting, fans like a score. If no one's hitting the ball, if no one's getting on base,
it takes more than home runs to get that offense fans are looking for.
Right. And the pitchers are pitching that not everyone can hit a home run now. If you're hitting against the Cubs, chances are you're going to. But other teams are going to stop you from hitting your home runs.
Right. For sure. The Sox, for example, aren't giving up many home runs. And I don't know what that stat is on there, but there's kind of.
We talked enough about these damn Cubs.
All right, so let's
let's talk about someone who won 2 games today, okay?
Well, we did win a couple of games today. So we're at 4-4. But before today, that graphic looked just like the Cubs, though. It was 2-4. And that was what was going to be interesting because I was going to bring the graphic up, but before the games, and if you paid attention to the 2 teams this past week, you wouldn't think that they had before today. You wouldn't think that they both had a 2-4 record. You would think that, I think the Sox are doing better. But then, when you look at it, like, no, they were 2-4 until today. Until today, they were also kind of awful this week, but they picked it up today. Big deal is the return of TA7, Tim Anderson, being back in the lineup is huge. I think he caught a first pitch fastball today and took it out on the first pitch. And, you talk about infectious hitting, like the Sox players are full of that. They need to see their guys. They need Abreu doing well, not just because they're their best hitters, but because they do really make other guys better. They give other guys more confidence to hit better because, generally when you're up there hitting, you're on an island. There's it's not like another sport where if you're slumping in the NBA, guys will start trying to feed you and get you easy shots. Like, you're slumping hitting, you're still on your own. You're up there at bat on your own, generally. So like it helps when, your other guys are around you, are producing, and it takes some of the pressure off of you. And Abreu is starting to pick it up. And at the same time, Abreu's picking it up, the return of Tim Anderson, I'm starting to see life out of Moncada because he struggled that first 10 days. And defensively, he struggled, and offensively. And I'm seeing I was seeing a vast improvement. He was doing some good things defensively in both games. He's been getting on base better. He's still not hitting the ball great, but he's finding a way to get on base. He's being patient. He took some walks, got hit by a pitch, just things to just get on base, just to feel like you're contributing. And and that defense, he needed to shore up that defense because that cost him like in that first 10 days. The 2 games, sweeping this doubleheader today was huge because we're now I believe we're at 4-4, which is the first time this year we have been with a winning record. So that's a big deal. You know what I mean? So besides, like, before I get too far off into what else is going on with them, we have a special guest today. We have our baseball expert that's going to be joining us today. We have Mr. Tim Gronholm joining us today. How you doing there, Tim? Are you hearing and seeing us all good?
Yeah, I'm hearing and seeing you fine, just fine. Thanks for having me, Emilio, Kristen. I appreciate it. How y'all doing out there?
Doing all right. Thank you for joining us.
Doing all right, Tim. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
So, Tim is like he's our personal baseball expert. He's a good guy with metrics and all of those things we were just talking about. You were just talking about earlier, Kristen. Tim's had experience as a varsity baseball coach. Played baseball. You played at Ignatius, didn't you? Like in high school. So Tim, why don't you just take us through what you're seeing on both sides of town, as well as maybe educate us a little bit on a new metric that some of our watchers or one of the hosts of this show don't understand. That would be me, because
Sure, we'll do. Obviously, baseball has gone more to the metrics than anything we've seen in the past. Moneyball is a thing. So one of the statistics that I think is important, particularly when you're looking at the beginning of a baseball season, is BABIP, which is batting average on balls in play. The reason I think that stat is important to look at is it gives you a good understanding of context. With a small sample size, we only have like 2.5 weeks of the season in, and I did hear you all talking about the White Sox sweep of my beloved Red Sox today. So that was a big one for the White Sox for sure.
Tim's a Cubs fan too, by the way, Kristen.
Yeah, I'm a Cub and Red Sox fan. So the early part of my life was pretty difficult, but it's been pretty sweet these last few years. Especially growing up on the South Side as a Cub fan, that was brutal. But yeah, batting average on balls in play, that's the stat, right? So what it does is it lets you look at 2 things. The effect of talent and the effect of luck. So I think particularly early on in the year, you're trying to figure out, like, is this team any good, or are they just terrible like my Cubs this year, or are they just have they been very lucky? And the other thing that I like about batting average on balls in play, or BABIP, is that the league average is right around 300. And so, I mean, we all grew up knowing that a good baseball hitter hit around 300. So if you look at that number as a team, right, you can sort of see, is this team any good? Are they just having really bad luck and really poor talent? And the talent end comes from exit velocity, which you'll see a lot now in the broadcast. They'll show you like how hard a ball was hit. I know that Rizzo hit a home run tonight that clocked out at like 99.9 miles per hour exit velocity. And if you hit a ball really hard, you're more likely to get on base, right? So that's pretty obvious. The luck part comes in where if you're very far off that 300 number, if you're well above it or well below it, that means something's going on luck-wise. So if you're well above it, that means you're just having really good luck. You're hitting the ball in good spots. You're getting some base, maybe some duck snorts, as Hawk would used to say. You know, like you're
Little
just
duck snort.
That's it. Or you're just, having that ground ball with eyes, all those baseball cliches, right? And if you're well below 300, then that means you're really having very poor luck. And so your odds are more likely to turn around. So here's where the Cubs and Sox stand right now in those two statistics. And you can look at it both from a hitting perspective and then what the pitchers are allowing as well. So the Cubs, as of today, before this drubbing by the Atlanta Braves that's currently happening, the Cubs' BABIP was 217. Right? League average, like I said, is 300. The Cubs have the worst BABIP in baseball right now. The worst.
Wow.
They're 30 out of 30.
Oh my God.
And so that tells all of us, it just confirms what we're seeing, that their BABIP, they can't hit. Right? So BABIP is it. And just for some more context, the team that's 29th, the second to worst, is Cleveland at 236. So the Cubs aren't just last, they're last by a lot. Right? 217 to 236. That's a big difference.
Wow.
But that also bodes well for the Cubs, because what that means is they're having some really bad luck. So you've seen, obviously it's not really happening today, but yesterday, a little bit over the weekend, you saw a little bit of a power surge from the Cubs. Like Contreras hit 2 homers yesterday. Bryant hit 2 homers. They're due to come back. So now would be a good time to sort of look for the Cubs hitters to start breaking out of this slump, I would think. Their pitching their BABIP pitching is 294. And remember, league average is 300. So they're right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that confirms what we've seen and heard in the beginning of the season, that the Cubs can't hit and their pitching is decent, right? Which is essentially what we've seen. So expect the Cubs hitting to come around a little bit. Expect the pitching to sort of remain the same. And that probably bodes for a really bad team for a little while.
Wow. So
right.
you sound you don't you're not sounding optimistic. BABIP is not providing you with any optimism.
It provides me with slight optimism because the 217 number is so low. Like, it's not going to be that bad. But they're just not scoring enough runs. And so if your pitchers are going to your pitchers give up 13 runs right now, that's where the Cubs are at. You don't have a chance. Right? So I think the hitting will come back around. The pitching will probably remain right around where it's at. So I would look for the Cubs to score some more runs, but probably still lose a bunch of games.
Kristen, you're like, all right, well.
Yeah. And as my shirt says, they're not doing a very good job at Joe Madden's little philosophy, trying not to suck. They're sucking pretty good right around these days.
They are. I mean, Baez and Hayward just struck out. Both of them hitting 200. Their BABIP has to be like, well, at least. Never mind. I ain't gonna talk bad about them. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No. I want to hear your expertise. Go ahead.
The one thing I'll say about Baez is he does not get cheated. That man goes up and swings as hard as he possibly can every single at bat. You can't look at Baez and go, oh man, I wish that guy try harder. Not that guy.
Has he ever checked a swing?
No, right.
He better not have probably break his wrist if he did. He swung so hard. He swung so hard at that pitch he struck out on. His helmet was crooked. Oh
my
Yeah, he reminds me. He takes those Bugs Bunny cuts, right? Where Bugs Bunny in the cartoons used to swing so hard he'd corkscrew himself into the dirt.
Right. All right.
And
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
Javi,
man.
but this is all true.
Yeah, I love Javi too. I love watching him play. He's
Yeah.
he's too much fun.
He is. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think the Cubs are in a little bit of trouble. It's a sad sight to see too, because I think they're going to probably break up this team, and it's been a heck of a run.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm not ready to watch. I mean, I know I'm watching terrible baseball now, but at least it's with people that I know, and there will be some exciting moments. I can't watch a whole team of Bodies and Sogards and
Oh, I mean, I look like Sogard. Sogard looks like me. I might as well. They might as well put a uniform on me and call me Eric Sogard and throw me out there.
David Bodie just struck out. Watching David Bodie in the beginning, there's nothing about him that says he should have been picked over Nico Horner.
No, yeah, I agree.
Bodie
is the
good point.
is sort of the Ben Zobrist guy. You know, he can sort of play a bunch of different positions, second, third, little outfield if you need it. But Horner's your second baseman of the future. They just need to give that kid at bats. And it's the same problem I'm seeing on the south side with the White Sox. Where's Andrew Vaughn? I know he got in the game today, but
he got in the game today, got a hit today.
I mean,
yeah, he needs
where
to
is
play.
He supposed to play? I hear his name.
He's really like a first baseman.
I don't care where he plays. You just need to get that bat in the lineup. That kid can hit.
And the issue is like, I mean, you try to stick him in left field because you don't want to sit my man Mercedes.
Yeah, your man Jermaine. I heard you calling him Jermaine.
You don't want to sit Jermaine. And I don't know if you're ready to, Abreu's one of those guys. I don't know if he's ready to just be that DH guy yet, or whatever. I don't know. So what's the BABIP?
Oh yeah. For
like?
the White Sox, yeah, the BABIP is very consistent, which looks good. So their hitting BABIP is 291, and remember, league average again is 300. So that means they're not having really bad luck or good luck. So you can expect their runs scored, their offensive output to continue being right around where it's at, which has been very good, right? Like they've been competitive. Their pitching BABIP is 284. And now granted, when you have Rodon throw a no-hitter, that's going to factor into this a little bit because, that's 27 guys that had a BABIP of 0. So I think that number might be a little bit skewed a little bit early, but essentially it's the same. So the White Sox numbers, BABIP would say that they're not too unlucky, they're not too lucky. So you can sort of expect their performance to continue as is. My big question for the White Sox just is really the young players. Like, is Tony La Russa going to be able to find the mix to play the young guys with the older guys, like the veterans, right? Like your buddy Jermaine and Vaughn. Like Andrew Vaughn is going to be a cornerstone at bat for the White Sox for years to come. If you're not ready to play him right now, then he should be in the minor leagues getting regular at bats.
Tony La Russa is notoriously a young guy's got to earn it type of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which
he's an old school. I like to call him. He's an old school red ass. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Constantly worked up. He's the get off of my lawn guy. I just feel like they just need to trust Vaughn and give him the at bats. But when Mercedes is hitting bombs every other game, Vaughn's not going to get a chance. Which is, if that's the case, then he should be in the minors.
At least so he can stay playing.
Right. And then when he's ready, you bring him up. You give him the playing time when he's ready. And the same is sort of goes for Kopech too on the pitching side. It was nice to see him get the start today, in a weird sort of doubleheader 7-inning game, and he pitched really well. I don't understand what his role is right now. I mean,
I think they're kind of looking for that. You know how that slot tends to be a little. I think they're kind of looking for a fourth or fifth guy, and they kind of are moving guys around. And again, like you mentioned, that being a double header, I think, kind of has something to do with putting him out there. But I'm really concerned about some of these guys that got in the bullpen.
Who are you concerned about?
What's my guy? Crotchet.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that throw to home.
Yeah, man, and he's been notoriously bad defensively this year, and not that he's doing that well throwing the ball either. So and I'm seeing too much of him. I feel like, and I'm concerned with. I think we spoke earlier about, another metric is like the pitch count that is very closely paid attention to with your starters. And I'm very concerned with, like, I understand wanting to save those arms, especially when you have some good arms and a completely like reconstructing arm with Rodon. You want to save that. But then, and of course, Rodon just threw a no hitter. So that goes against this argument of the concern of leaving that starting pitcher that's doing well, leaving him out there just an extra inning or so before you go to that bullpen. Like, we saw that game with Giolito the night before the no-hitter. It was a great pitchers duel, Giolito and Bieber for Cleveland. I think he's dealing today too, matter of fact.
Yeah, the Biebs. He struck out 10 more guys today.
Yeah, he's dealing, and it was going to come down to the bullpen with that game, but it was just like, whose bullpen got touched earlier? Well, we went to our bullpen earlier than they did, and we got touched earlier, and we were the ones to lose the game, and so.
Did you get a chance to check out the Lance Lynn news today? Because that's not good for what you're talking about right now either.
No, I didn't hear that.
Lance Lynn was placed on the injured list today with a right trapezius muscle. This is where I need you got to say it Hawk Harrelson like, Hawk Harrelson used to love the trapezius, which is essentially like, it's like this muscle back here behind your shoulder. That's not good.
Wow.
And so you're going to see, I think you're going to see a little bit more of Kopech in the starting rotation. With Lynn going down. Lynn, I think, has been the irony of Lynn getting hurt is he's sort of been a workhorse for a few years here. So he's a guy you can sort of count on, and now he's out. So that's not good, obviously.
No, it isn't. Struck out 27, walked 2 in 3 starts. Yeah, that's. Yeah.
So get ready to see some more crotchet in your future.
Just for you, Emilio.
Just for me. Just for me.
That's a heck of a name. Poor guy.
It might be crochet for all I know.
I think it is crochet.
I'm pretty sure it's crochet.
I was about to say, I think it is crochet.
It is crochet.
I prefer crotchet.
Crotchet's better, though.
Yeah, for right now, for what's going on, I'm going to run with crotchet.
He has to earn crochet on Plunked.
Yeah. He has to earn his family name. Have to earn the name that your ancestors gave you, right, son. You will be crotchet until you improve your play. Yeah. Marshall has been good for us out of the pen.
Yeah, he's got a great changeup.
Yeah, he's done well. So,
what about Foster?
Foster, he's done okay. I haven't seen as much of him as I've seen the other guys. Not from lack of playing, as from me only seeing so many games, like it's hard to catch all of these games like in every inning. It's like impossible. but, I'm just very much concerned with just the bet with Abreu getting his stroke back, and just my guy Luis, he's been on base. He's been hitting the ball well. Again, Tim Anderson, a way for him to really get back into his rhythm from the injury, and so I'm not worried. I'm not worried yet.
Yet.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be. I don't think you should be worried about the White Sox.
Yeah,
they're going to be
I'm not
fine.
worried yet. Yeah.
No, yeah, you don't have the same worries as Cubs fans.
No,
I don't. But this is the first year that's been the case in many, many years. Hey, I, as a White Sox fan, I'm not a White Sox fan who hates the Cubs. Like, I want to see the Cubs win, except when they play the Sox. That's it.
It'd be nice for them to both be good at the same time.
Will that ever happen? Like,
probably
they've been decent. That they've been in the hunt together before, but like it's.
Crash course to the World Series, no.
Yeah,
course, but I'm trying to say. I think I said that wrong, but
yeah.
That's the problem with the Cubs right now, though. The problem with the Cubs is they don't know what they are, right? They feel like I sort of feel like they're holding on to past performance, with the foundation of Baez and Bryant and Rizzo and Contreras and Hayward, and then at the same time, like Kristen brought up earlier, like not giving playing time to a kid like Horner, and then they've got this free agency ticking time bomb that's sitting there with those guys. Rizzo, Baez, and Bryant are all free agents at the end of the year. So if the Cubs are bad in June, I would not be surprised to see one of those guys leave or multiple of those guys, and that would be terrible as a Cub fan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not ready to see Eric Sogard, like you said. No, thank you.
Or any of the no names that are in the minors, because they really haven't built up their minor leagues. And then, even to me, that Darvish trade, I don't think they got what they really could. I personally probably would have held on to him till June. And if they were bad, I think you may have gotten a little better than Zach Davies and some other people.
I agree with that too. Cubs fans we've lost a lot in one offseason. I know it's been a really messed up 2020 and people have lost a lot more important things. But Cubs fans, we lost Theo.
That's true.
We lost Theo, Darvish, and Len Casper all in one offseason. And now we're getting ready to lose maybe Baez, Bryant, or Rizzo.
At least, if they're bad in a month, I would think Brian is going to fetch you the most.
Well, doesn't Theo always leave a team when it's about to be a disaster?
Oh, Theo's a genius. Yeah, he's no dummy.
Like, y'all about to suck. I'm out.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm out. You're not about to tarnish
right. My name is not about to be attached to some that I did on my own. Because, I did sign Jason Hayward, and I did sign Brandon Morrow, and I did sign Craig Kimbrell, but I'm out.
Brandon Morrow, that's a deep cut. That one hurts. Len Casper, to me, that's the one that stings the most.
That stings you the most? I was listening to the White Sox on the radio yesterday, and I'm like, I thought this was the White Sox. I'm like, oh, that's right. We got Len Casper over here.
That was very unexpected.
That's very unexpected. Very unexpected.
He left the Chicago Cubs television broadcasting job to do radio for the White Sox. I'm sorry, but those two jobs are not the same.
They say he really wanted to do radio,
like his father.
Right.
But he did a Theo. He was like, I'm not getting ready to call this garbage. Let me go to a team that's up and
on the radio.
And I don't care if it's radio or whatever, because he still does some TV gigs as well. So he was like,
and he's like, I don't have to move.
Right. I was like, I can't call this. I'm used to winning. Marlins, Cubs won the World Series. I have got to go someplace where they may win.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad.
Well, I thank you. I thank the Cubs all the time for Eloy and Dylan Cease.
Oh,
For
that's too
Quintana.
soon. Too soon.
For Quintana.
Quintana's not even here anymore.
Oh,
I was like,
Well,
obviously,
the Cubs thought
Eloy
they had
come
their
up yet.
Eloy and Kyle Schwarber, so
Wait, say it again.
the Cubs thought they already had their Eloy and Kyle Schwarber. That's why they thought it was okay.
Right.
yeah, that's a bad trade.
Very.
I understood what we were doing though when we did it. I mean, I was like, let's try to we need another arm. Let's try to make a push for the playoffs. Looking back, obviously, it gave up way too much. Eloy, Eloy's going to be great.
Yeah, and I also always thought that the Cubs held on to some talent like they held on to Addison Russell too long. When somebody wanted him, they should have got rid of him, especially when we saw what happened.
Yeah,
that was the perfect time.
Right, I thought Kyle Schwarber, and I liked Kyle Schwarber, but you saw he was what he was, and when some other people wanted him for something,
that was like 3 years ago, Christian, and we talked about that. Like we like Schwarber, but they need to move him while he's still people are still interested, because you could see like, all right, he's not, you know what I mean, he's not going to be a future guy, especially playing in the NL until they unless they develop a DH. But
and then he hits a game-winning home run for the Nats, the DC Cubs over there.
Yeah, you know how that happens. Who else they got? They got Lester over there.
They have Schwarber,
Martinez.
Lester, Castro.
They got Castro. Wow.
Dave Martinez.
That's right. The skipper.
Yeah, it's the DC Cubs.
Shout out to Dave Martinez.
Yeah.
And shout out to John Lester, too, who is another one of those red asses that I talked about earlier. That guy, man, he's a heck of a pitcher. That's the best free agent signing in the history of Cubs baseball.
He lasted so much longer than anybody expected to him. He was their best pitcher for a long time, and I didn't see that, and I don't think anybody did. But
now you got this guy. Now the only thing we got on the north side is Chafin, who he looks like. You familiar with this guy? He looks like a 70s. Yeah, he looks like a 70s pitcher or something. Yeah. The Mad Hungarian. Do you remember that guy?
Yes.
Al Rabowski?
Yes.
He had this crazy beard and hair and beard.
Yeah.
Insane. That's all we got.
That's all. Yeah, that's a shame.
And he's he's just a showpiece, kind of like.
Yeah.
And then we have this could be a whole other show. Owners crying broke because they decided to build a hotel. And when they're coming to visit Chicago, no one's going to stay up north. I'm going to stay downtown, and I'll take my Uber to a Cubs game, or I'll jump on the train.
Nobody wants. Yeah.
Oh, no one's coming to stay in a hotel next to Wrigley.
In Wrigleyville, especially like a family, they'll be like, "This is crazy around here."
Who was thinking? And so that's part of the reason why they're crying broke and why they can't do anything. I was like, well, who was on your planning committee? Because they all need to be fired.
There's no world in which the Chicago Cubs, the Ricketts family, should be crying poor. That's for sure. And especially when you got your own TV network now, too, which, by the way, objectively is pretty terrible if the Cubs game's not on. I'm just saying.
And I'm glad. It's nice to hear someone else feel this way, because that's horrible. From graphics to, I was like, what is this, someone's basement? Like, we could be producing this. Plunked graphics look better.
I saw some missed camera shots before, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, yeah.
And then Boog, or however you say his name, and Jim Deshay, sometimes they are so like dry. And I know they're trying to be funny, but you're starting to put me to sleep. And maybe part of the problem is because there's nothing good happening on the field. So they're trying to figure out something else to talk about. But
it's tough. I mean, it must be really tough to be in that booth when the team is struggling like this. Now, Hawk used to get called out of the booth during games because he'd be bad-mouthing them so much.
Oh, I'll never forget Hawk
story.
Harrelson. My favorite Hawk Harrelson story, Todd Frazier playing third base for the White Sox, dives like Jeter into the stand to try to catch a foul ball and hurts himself, right? And he just turns to Stone and goes, "I'll be back," and leaves the booth. for like an inning to go check on like physically check on him. Comes back into the booth, and this is why Steve Stone is one of the best of all time. Hawk finally comes back. It's like a full inning later. Sits down, and Stoney just looks at him and goes, "And?" Like that was
like,
it. What you got?
The fact that he left the booth.
That's
That
why
man-
Hawk had to go. Like, and
Yes.
he's the type that, like, if they'd have tried to push him out too quick. Remember his last year, he was only doing road games. And he wasn't calling at home, like, because he's the type. If you tried to push him out too quick, he'd come back like shooting or something. Like, I mean, I shouldn't make fun of that because I think that just recently happened. I'm sorry, but he would be a disgruntled like ex-employee.
Just show up all of a sudden in the booth.
Oh,
still
yeah.
trying to like announce like,
hey,
like,
Steve,
what are you doing here? Right.
I mean, this is a guy who played one season essentially with the Red Sox and still to this day tries to take credit for Carl Yastrzemski winning the Triple Crown of the year he played with him. You know?
Yeah.
So
you would have thought Hawk was,
right.
Poor
Steve Stone. Poor Steve Stone. He had to deal with the bad years of Harry Carey at the end.
Talking
about how to make seedless grapes.
Yes, talking about ladies in the bleachers more than the game. Talking about all sorts of stuff.
Talking about when
a little inebriated.
Harry told him, Steve, you know what's wrong with this team? There aren't enough black guys on the team.
Right, he did say.
Yes, Harry said some pretty terrible things. He said some pretty bad things about I think it was Hideo Nomo too.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, it was bad at the end. It was real bad. And then Stone comes to the South Side, and he's got to deal with the end of Hawk Harrelson too, where Hawk turned into sort of a caricature of himself.
Yeah, he was. It had gotten bad that last couple of years for sure.
But those guys, I mean, then you're Steve Stone, right? Like Stone had both of those. Stone is a guy. If you ever want to like learn the game, just listen to him. He knows exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, he was one of the few people that ever worked with Hawk that you could tell Hawk really respected him.
Yeah, and if Hawk didn't respect you, you were in trouble. Like
Darren Wilson, like Darren, Tom Bajorek or
Darren,
DJ.
Yeah.
I think he smacked
Jackson, right?
DJ over the head with a Darren Jackson. I think he smacked him over the head with like a program or something. But
DJ always looked a little sleepy to me.
DJ. I think I'm queuing up this Jeff Jackson interview here. Don't mind me, Henry.
And then I sound crazy. That's all I keep saying.
Sound like Dave Wanstead.
Right.
That's no one wants to sound like Dave Wanstead.
Right.
Although he's such a lovable guy now that he like is
Wani?
Yeah. Now that he's
I love listening to Wani now. Yeah. I love listening to Wani.
It's definitely it's a different experience. Like you kind of like him now.
I wouldn't mind having him in the car on the road trip. I just don't want him driving a car.
Well,
and that was the problem. Yeah, Wani. When Wani was the coach of the Bears, it was. I remember the one game we ended up going into overtime against the Lions and losing. And they asked Wanstead after the game what happened, and he goes, "Oh, we were game planning for the overtime." Like, what you talking about, man? Like,
why weren't you game planning to win?
Yeah, how about let's win before we get to overtime?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Love it. Wani. Nah. Yeah. It was like, he did not elicit any sort of confidence whatsoever.
Speaking of confidence, what sort of confidence do you have in actually going into a ballpark to see a baseball game this year?
I'm confident. I think it's going to happen.
I was just thinking about that.
I think by August, we might be able to hopefully catch a game. What do you think, Kristen?
Well, I'm not going to risk to watch the Cubs, so.
Well, that's true.
If they were better.
Well, I'm not going to risk it to watch anybody.
No, I don't know if it won't be much of a risk. You're outside. The way that they socially distance you and all that. It seems like it's going well.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I agree. Like the Cubs aren't a product that's worth investing any whole money in right about now. But the White Sox, I think, sometime after the All-Star break.
Yeah, that would be an exciting game to go see against whomever. Cubs, no.
Well, we'll see. Again, I'm not going to hurry and rush myself to go out there and risk anything, but I'm confident that we'll get out there to the park this year. But again, we'll see. We'll see. And I'm still praying for my Sox because you guys are more confident than I am right now. But
It'll be
hey,
fine.
all right, Tim. We're gonna have you on again, and if they're not fine, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Like, Tim, what's up with the BABIP? Like, what's like? You said we couldn't get no worse, baby. We way worse.
Just remember, the Yankees are 4-10. That should make you feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't.
It does make me feel better. I can tell you that.
It would
You're a Red Sox.
You're a Red Sox fan.
I mean, the Sox are 8-8. They're 500, so they're on their way.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine too. They will be fine. Well, Tim, it was a pleasure having you on there today, ladies and gentlemen. Our baseball expert and sabermetrics genius, Mr. Tim Gronholm, old product of Kellogg Elementary.
That's right.
Kellogg, St. Ignatius College Prep in the building as well. Southside. I got a couple Southside Cubs fans here.
I'm going to say before I take off here, I think you got a Morgan Park or a Simeon guy coming in after me, right?
Yes, we have a pre-recorded interview, a Simeon graduate, former first round MLB draft pick, Mr. Jeff Jackson.
I just wanted to say that was a pretty bold choice. I just appreciate that you put the Morgan Park guy in first because that's where we should belong ahead of Simeon.
There you go.
So just want to put that out there.
And I love that he can get his shot off before the guy.
I had to. And
it's taped.
I had to do it. Yeah, too bad it's taped. But yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you both. And,
always, man.
And take care. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you, Tim. Take care, sir.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, good stuff with Mr. Tim Gronholm. Yeah, good stuff. So, let's get into this this interview with Mr. Jeff Jackson. That was a perfect segue. I accidentally, I think in the recording, I almost said he was from CVS, and I had to make that correction. So Kristen, we're going to come back after this interview, but is there anything you want to touch? Not the Cubs. The game has it ended? Have we hit that ninth yet?
No.
Okay. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it hasn't ended yet.
The misery continues.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
They're going into the bottom of the eighth. By now, I probably would have stopped watching.
So. Well, let's get into it. And I want to make sure my audio is set up properly here. You just hold on.
There was a comment that Zorg says Wani was the worst coach ever. Zorg said that.
I'm not sure.
Did he play for him? Maybe he,
Yeah, well, if he thinks he's the worst. Well, if he said it.
Yeah, Chris Zorg.
Oh, well, seriously, well, if he said it, then what in the hell would I know then? All right, we got this interview queued up. Mr. Jeff Jackson, please stand by for this. And let's stand by here for a minute while I get this sound up and going.
Just ready to get this interview started. It's been long overdue.
Okay, and our special guest we have today in Plunked. This gentleman is a former first-round draft pick, also a Simeon Career Academy alum. Shame on me for mixing CVS with Simeon. My apologies. And also, very importantly, an author of a book that we're gonna get into. So, welcoming to Plunked is South Side of Chicago's own Mr. Jeff Jackson.
What's up, Plunk? Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. You guys look great. So,
thank you.
Just ready to get this interview started. It's been long overdue. Tanya, of course, you guys know, a friend of mine I went to high school with.
Mm-hmm.
She worked.
Okay, right on.
I would say she worked diligently on trying to actually make this happen. So I'm glad we finally here and able to get it done.
Absolutely. We appreciate her and we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Appreciate you too as well.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us, Jeff. So I was looking at part of your book, The Gift and the Curse. It's the name of the book. That's your story. And, going through some of the summary about your story and then reading about your career and everything and some of your older interviews with papers, I noticed that you are kind of like a cautionary tale of getting drafted and going into the league and everything that comes with it, being from Chicago and considered like a savior or a hero for people and trying to live up to that and everything like that. And how you mentioned in one of your interviews that you want to take all of that and help mentor other young people who either want to be in baseball or anything else in life. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
Whew, that's like a loaded question. That's a lot right there. I can do this answer can go in so many directions. But to try to stick to basically what you were saying, how can I put this? I would just say, first of all, I was fortunate to be in the position that I was in. I think it was a blessing. It was something I asked for and something I actually received, So with that said, dreams do come true. And sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for. Now, as far as a cautionary tale, that to be honest, when I first saw that headline, I didn't know I didn't even know what cautionary tale meant. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a good thing. Come to find out, it's not so good. But the thing is that, I feel like people who have followed me over my career and still follow me to this day, if they can learn anything from my career, that's what I hope that people can do. Is and I don't necessarily have to be a baseball coach, or you don't necessarily have to play baseball. I think my story kind of relates to, across the board, all genres of sports. Anybody out there that has a dream and trying to chase their dream, I think if they can kind of like look at my story or read my book, they can get a kind of like a little insight on what, first of all, on what it takes, and also they can get a understanding and look inside what actually happens when you do achieve those goals. Because a lot of times, a lot of people just think about, okay, I reached my goal and I've done it, I made it, and it's over. But actually, that's where the work begins. And that's why I made the mistake. I asked to get drafted. I never asked to be a first round pick, but I literally prayed to God every night to be drafted. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, he over-delivered. I became a first round pick. I became the #1 player in the nation. I was given my own date. It was just so many accolades. And it was something I wasn't prepared for, because coming from Chicago and where I was from, I didn't even think that was possible. So when everything started happening for me, it was just almost like something I just had to just adjust with on the fly. I never had time to really just soak it all in or just to, even have any type of training. It was just something thrown up on me. And so with that said, I did the best I could do, with the circumstances, but, ultimately I came up a little short. I didn't actually achieve my dreams, but that's okay. Because I believe at the same time, if that's what God had in the plans for me, then I would have achieved whatever it is that I set out to achieve, or that God wanted me to achieve. So me coming from where I came from, my background, my situation as a child is having health problems. It took me a long time to come to this conclusion, but when I summed it all up, I actually won. Regardless if I made it to the big show or not, I actually won because I was able to accomplish a goal and a dream that a lot of people will never be able to say. So, I don't mind being the cautionary tale or the poster boy of not making it to the big leagues, or not having so much potential that he never, accomplished or reaches his maximum potential. That's okay, because what happens is now people can look at me, some people that's going through the same situation, and they actually can learn something from it. So and in some weird way, I think that's how God had it all planned out. He had me to achieve, because if you think about it, now and I say this humbly. Every time it's a kid getting drafted in Chicago in the high rounds, first thing they bring up is my name. They always comparing them to me. This has been 30 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? So still 30 years to this day, anytime somebody's come up, a great athlete to Simeon or baseball player or something that's, going to that next level, first person they bring up, they compare them to me. So I don't think I ended up really on the, I don't really think I got the short end of the stick when it comes to that. You understand what
Absolutely
I'm saying?
not.
Yeah,
Absolutely not. That sounds like a dream fulfilled.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
even with the cautionary tale,
Mm.
the cautionary tale more is that you have also taught others to make sure that they have other plans, that they have other things to fall back on. And so while sometimes usually cautionary tale can be a bad thing, but your cautionary tale was also like, this is your dream. Not everyone's going to make it to the league. I mean, there's a lot of people in the minor leagues trying to make it, but make sure that you are still going to fight for whatever it is, whatever else you're meant to do. So I think your cautionary tale is, don't just stop here just because something didn't happen the way you were dreaming of it to happen. Keep going, and you can make even more of yourself like you've done now.
And that's the truth, because what every athlete has to understand is that one day it's going to be over. And then you got to figure out how to live in the real world, because let's be honest, when you're a professional athlete, you do not live in the real world. You do not experience the same problems or situations that the average person goes through. But so if you've been doing that for, say, the last 10, 15 years of your life, when it's over, it's almost like you got to figure out what to do again. Either you're going to go into coaching, or you're going to join the real world, and you're going to have to become something or make something of yourself. And that's the hardest thing, I would say, for the athlete, is the transition. It took me years. And and sometimes I'm still trying to figure it out to this day, but it took me years to figure out what I wanted to do after the game, because I played the game for a different reason. Some people, play, and don't get me wrong when I say this, I did love the game. I do love the game, but I played it for a different reason. Some people play it strictly for the love of the game, and that's fine. But I played it strictly for the love of my family. And what I mean by that is, like, I played baseball in order to get my family out the hood and take us to another place. And so once that dream was over, once baseball ended, then, once I realized that I did, I did in a sense get them out the neighborhood, out the hood and stuff like that. But I wasn't able to do it on the maximum level that I was anticipating on it on, with the $1 million contracts and all that type of stuff. But the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is that, at some point the game is going to be over, and you're going to have to make a decision where you want to go from there. Now you can stay in the sport, continue to coach, but if you don't want to do that, then you have to go and figure it out, and try a whole new avenue, to an extent. So,
right.
Like
so
I said,
Jeff, I'm sorry, not to cut you off. I just wanted to ask you a question really quick.
Okay.
It's attached to what you're saying. Say you right now, you meet an 18-year-old coming out of Simeon, highly touted, just like yourself, drafted high. Based on your experience, what do you tell that 18-year-old, knowing he's still got to, walk his own walk too, that is going to be different than yours? But what are like two things? I'm gonna tell you two things, young man. What would those two things be?
You know what? It depends on the player, but I guess the overall, like if it's a person that's going in, depending on what round they go in, because if they go in the high rounds, that means they got a better chances of, making it to the major leagues. Now, if they go in the low rounds, then, it's almost kind of like a hope and a prayer. It's almost at that point because, even though you said a lot of low rounds, the guys that you see in the low rounds up there, they really have to work their butt off to get there. Those ain't the guys that So pretty much it would depend on, what level you are. But the most thing I would tell them is, first of all, work hard, while you're down there playing. Give it your all, because you never know when it's going to be over. You're the first one to the ballpark, be the last one to leave. And secondly, I would tell them, start a business now. Start an LLC. Build your credit right now, so that once your career is over, you already have a business in place. Now, when they start this LLC, they don't even have to operate in it right off of that. They have companies, what they call shelf companies, where you can just build it out and let it sit there until you're ready to operate in it. So that's what I would tell them to do. I would say, start an LLC and build your credit. Because once baseball over, if you're gonna, start any type of business, now you're already set up. All you got to do is just, fill out the applications, get the loans, or if you already got money that you saved, transfer it into your business account, and you're good to go. Now you're ready to start. But what you do is figure out, while you're playing baseball, figure out what that other job, or opportunity or business, that you want to build at the same time. Don't wait till your career is over and then try to figure it out now. So you already, it's like your safety net. So you don't mind release or cut from a team and all this type of stuff, because you know what? You got something waiting on you. A lot of the guys waiting for them, and that's all they got is baseball. So they go through a lot of unnecessary stuff that they would normally have to go through, because that's all they know and got, and they put up with those situations. So that's what I would tell somebody. Hey, man, start a business, while you're playing baseball. You don't necessarily have to operate the business, but start an LLC, build your credit. Boom.
Especially while you got the money to really build your credit good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's very sound advice, in fact.
Yeah.
And that goes for any high school graduate.
And it took me 25, 30 years to figure that out. After I was done, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I'm saying, you know what? Start an LLC, start your consulting company, build your credit, and now you don't have to ask nobody for nothing. Sky's the limit from there. And so that's the advice I would give people. I only give people advice on things that I would do myself. I can't give nobody advice about I don't do. You understand what I'm telling you?
Sure.
So that would be my two things.
Awesome. Yeah, that hell, I needed to hear that. And I didn't play sports coming up, but I wish somebody told me that when I was 17 or 18. No, real talk, man. Like, there's so many different lessons. And you mentioned, your story stretches across the board, regardless of sport, or it doesn't even have to be sports. It could be anything. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's powerful stuff. And so I have your book online, and I'm going to get into it because as a fan, I know, and just as a man and a black man coming from the same city, you know what I mean? I know there's going to be relatable stuff in there. And so I'm looking forward to that. But while we have you here, we can't not talk about, baseball season has started. You're a South Sider. Now, let me ask you, do you have a preference? Are you a Cubs fan? Are you a Sox fan?
I always grew up a Sox fan. I mean, a Cubs fan, even though I was from the South Side.
So your instinct, you really wanted to be a Sox fan, but you're like, oh, no, I'm a Cubs fan. I forgot.
Here,
What you
Jeff,
said?
right here. I'm from the South Side. I'm a Cubs fan.
Okay, I see in the background. You're a Cubs. Okay,
Yeah. She born and raised.
I was kind and put the socks on there too, since we talk about both. It's part of our tagline. But really,
Yeah, she hardcore Southside, born and raised. Her brother, my uncle. I'm like, well, all right, it's genuine with her. You know what I mean? It wasn't like she got on the Cubs because they were a popular team. Like, no.
No, I actually did. All my friends like the Sox, so I tell the story all the time. I tried to watch them one day on TV, and it was just so dark. I was like, I need the brightness and the sunshine of Wrigley. I gotta go back.
And it seems like the fans get into the game more at Wrigley Field for some reason. You feel like when you watching the game on TV, watching a Cubs game, you feel like you're at the ballpark.
Yes.
I can't say the same for the Sox. Man. I'm just gonna be honest. I was a Cubs fan ever since I was a kid. Ever since I was a little kid.
Hey, when I'm at the game watching the Sox, I feel like I'm at the crib because it's like, man, I feel alone in here. It's empty and private. Like, hey, well, old Comiskey was always kind of dark looking, and what's funny is, the Sox broadcast look a little bit darker, and we played at night and had lights. So Jeff, what is your take on both teams? Let's start with your Cubbies. They had some sleeping bats for a while, and they warmed up. They put some hats on them bats yesterday, and we saw a lot of the long ball yesterday. So what do you feel about your Cubs? About the expectations? About whether they should keep going with this nucleus? Should they rebuild?
Here's why I get in trouble. Here's why I'm going to get in trouble. And here's why I don't really do interviews, to be honest.
It's exclusive. It's exclusive. Y'all hear it right here on Plunked. Giving us exclusive.
I don't watch baseball. I have no idea of what's going on in the baseball world right now. I don't know who's who. I don't keep up with the game. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. I played baseball for my family. You understand? So once that part was over, baseball, I broke up with it. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I can't unbe Jeff Jackson. I'm always going to be who I am, so people always would associate me to baseball, right? But the truth of the matter, I do not watch it. And it's
interesting.
Because it doesn't benefit me. You understand what I'm saying? When I don't coach, I don't make money in baseball other than telling my story. But that's my story. You understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you, bro. I'm being so sincere and honest, and I'm sorry.
That's all good.
So what do you do now, Jeff? Let's talk about what you are doing now.
As far as like hobbies, a living and stuff like that.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's get more of the exclusive, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all just a bit, a little bit. Really,
let's hit it.
I got First Round Consulting Company. Where I kind of like help artists, and I live in LA. Just like the Melbourne Art, that's where everybody come to make their dreams come true. Fortunately for me, I have built some nice relationships over the years. I know a lot of people in the industry out here. And a lot of my friends are artists. And so what happened is, I got caught up in a situation. I started to find myself in situations where anytime they was working on projects, they would always come to me. That's my opinion. It was my help in some sense. And then I would help them, and they would run off and become successful or get the job or whatever. And I found myself just sitting there chilling. I was like, what the hell? You just got a deal off of me helping you put this together. So I just decided, I'm just going to start a consulting company and just get in between those deals now. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much I kind of like help artists, up-and-coming artists. Just, if somebody want to be a rapper or even businesses. I build brands. I start websites. I do video. It's across the board. Anything that you may need in the marketing or branding sector, that's something I can help you with.
So you and I need to have an offline conversation. Because I can use some consult. I also myself lived in LA for 8 years.
You're in LA right now?
No, I'm in Chicago now, but I lived there for 8 years back 2000 to 2008. So I also followed and lived the dream. Like you mentioned, the dream, and the late great Kobe Bryant. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "This is the dream. It's not the winning the last game. It's not the championship. The living the dream is practice, is preparing yourself,
going through the process,
the work, going through the process, and the work. That's the dream. That's the part you have to love, because if you don't love practice, because if you don't love that, right, then what happens if you don't, win the championship or make it, so to speak? Well, then what was all of that for if you didn't enjoy it, if you didn't love it, and if that wasn't the dream? So I definitely feel that from you, and like the work, and that's the part that made you who you are, and the work that you did is what is taking you to where you are now, which sounds like you're in a really good place.
I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place mentally right now.
And definitely in a good place weather-wise.
Yeah, it's nice out today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I mean, it's cool out here. It's a little cloudy.
Nice here.
I mean, it's like 53.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna snow Tuesday, but it's nice
right. Who doesn't like a little snow in April?
Take advantage of that good weather while you can, right?
Yeah, we will. We will. So, hey, Jeff, man, we won't hold you up too longer.
That's all good.
Go Cubs, go Sox. Again, Jeff Jackson, thank you again. First round draft pick, Simeon's own, Chicago's own, making us proud, especially with the things that you're saying and doing post baseball. You know what I mean? Because you are a tale, not so much cautionary about just living. And I mean, even the what Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest athlete of all time. Well, by the time he was 40, he was no longer playing, and that's barely half of your life. So you talk about what do you do after the sport? Well, you're in your 30s. So if you retire, had a long career. So great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Check out his book, The Gift and the Curse.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, you guys go check it out. You can find it at the jeffjacksonstory.com for the you can get all versions there. You can get the paperback. I'm sold out of autograph paperbacks, but I should have some more of those soon. You can get the audio version, and you can get the PDF version at the jeffjacksonstory.com. And also, I got a little merch over there if you guys are interested as well. First round apparel.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you guys for giving me this time to come on your platform and talk. I had actually a good time. I need to start doing this a little bit more. A lot of people.
Well, come back and join us. Come back and join us.
I will. I'll definitely come back. Like I said today, I'm kind of caught off guard. I'm looking crazy, but I told Tanya that I would do it. So I just wanted to be a man of my word and come on.
It's all good, man, and that is appreciated, and that is very valuable. Mr. Jeff Jackson, thank you very much, sir.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. You enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Had to get my mic set back, and we're back. Good stuff from Mr. Jeff Jackson. And it reminded me when he said, man, to be honest, I don't even watch baseball. It reminded me when we first talked with Tommy Harris, and he was kind of like, I don't know, I don't really watch football. Although, come to find out, he really does. But I was kind of wondering, is that a thing for some guys when they make their exit from the sport? Do some guys like, okay, I don't want anything to do with that anymore. I don't watch. I don't follow. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. So, really quick, that Cubs game finally ended.
And that was in the first inning.
Oh, that's true. So right now we're looking at the Cubs being 6-9 right now. And I said something kind of in error earlier about the Sox being having a winning record. Based on this past week, they have a winning record, but they still are at 7-8, just
Now,
under.
aren't they 8-8? Didn't they just go to 8-8?
Let's see here.
Yeah, I think they're.
Let's check on this. So maybe they are
Yeah,
a winning franchise.
They're 500.
They're okay. So they're is 500 technically winning? Yeah, they're at 8-8. So they're playing 500 ball.
100
That's
ball,
the best
yeah.
they've done all year.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the ultimate point. Now, speaking of under 500 teams in Chicago, the Chicago Bulls are somewhat kind of sort of on our radar. I think the Bulls finally won yesterday. Was that?
Mm-hmm. They beat the Cavaliers.
The Cavalier bringing them to 23-33, quite a ways below 500.
Right.
Levine in protocol, is that right?
Yes, he'll be out for several games, so I guess he actually has COVID.
Right.
When they actually announced the game before they announced, he looked sick, but I thought maybe just because he has to play so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But like he was extra pale, and he had like red rings around his eyes. But like I said, he works very hard, so I didn't know what it was. But I was like, you look kind of bad. You need to sit down.
Wow. Well, there you go. Probably had the vid. Well, with that being said about the Bulls, I think it might be a little late on this season. I don't know when the playoffs start, but I don't know.
I think they still have like 14,
a chance.
13 more games.
Okay.
14, 15 more games left. They're maybe tied with the Wizards for that 10th spot. I mean, just to get in the play-in, they need to remain within the 10th spot.
For the play-in spot.
Right. And then you have to play twice to try to get the 8th spot. So you would play the 9th and 10th teams would play, and then whoever wins that plays the loser of the 7th and 8th. So 7 and 8 plays each other, and whoever wins is number 7. Then the loser of that waits to face the winner of the 9-10 seed. And then that winner faces the loser of the 7-8 seed. And then whoever wins that one, they're the 8th seed. So you do all that to be able to face whoever's number 1.
The number 1 seed and get swept.
Yes. You got to play a lot of games.
This isn't for competition's sake. That's for extra playoff games and trying to make up for last year. That's TV revenue, extra playoff games. So you know what that is. But hey, I'll take it if we can get a playoff game. Who am I to complain? A Chicago sports team.
Yeah.
Who am I to complain?
Yeah, I'll take it. I took the wild card for the Cubs last year. I'll take it again.
Absolutely. All right, Christian, do you have any closing comments before we say good night?
Thank you for watching episode 2.
Thank you all for any of you all joining in. This episode will be up and available for your pleasurable viewing moving forward. Cubs still at home. Who do they have coming in?
Yeah, they play on Tuesday. They're off tomorrow. They have the Mets.
Yes, the Mets are coming to town. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
More bad.
More drubbings.
Yes.
So we got one more at Boston tomorrow, and then we head into Cleveland. Which in spite of the no-hitter, we did not really play that well against. So we got 2 against Cleveland and back home for Texas. So hey, it's still early. Let's just enjoy the games. You know what I mean? Just enjoy for what it is, good and bad. And to you, Kristen, on behalf of you and behalf of myself, behalf of the Chicago Clubhouse, the umbrella mother show over Plunked. Shout out to T Nick. And shout out to all those that are supporting all of our efforts. Shout out to TJ. She's come in and really helped us out do some things. She got Jeff to do the interview for us, and go Chicago, whatever it is. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Good night, all.
One team, two cities. Two cities, three teams.
One city, one team playing worth a darn.
Playing worth a darn. All right. Good night, all.
Good night.
Peace.